familia, it's Alex. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. So today I have a kind of like duping video, makeup releases. I want to share with you guys new palette releases that I already own in my collection. These are 5 eyeshadow palettes that have been released in the last few weeks or so that I love the releases, but I realized I have them already in my collection and I don't necessarily want to purchase any of them. Sometimes when I do these videos, I still want to get the actual palette even though I have something similar, but then there's other times where I really just don't. I think it's enough with what I have, and I think these 5 palettes that I'm going to share with you guys today is exactly it. So if you are interested in this type of video, stay tuned. But first, if you're new to my channel, welcome to the familia. My name is Alejandra. I'm an eyeshadow enthusiast with a dash of Project Pan. If that is something that interests you, subscribe, join us. And now without further ado, let's get on with the video. So like I mentioned in the intro, these are palettes that I am duping in my own collection. I love to actually physically show you guys dupes of products, not even necessarily dupes, because I know a lot of people take that to heart. What I mean is similar palettes, not exact the same, but very similar vibes you'll get on the eyes, where I necessarily don't feel like I need multiples of these type of palettes. So I have 5 of them here. There's nothing wrong with the 5 palettes that I will be sharing with you guys today. I've seen great reviews on these. It's just, it doesn't interest me because I already have something similar and I am content and happy with the ones that I currently own as of right now. So let's start out with the first one. This is by ColourPop. This is the Little Ray Sunshine palette. Now, I personally know some people in my own everyday life that have purchased this palette because it's a really nice palette. It's neutral, but not a bunch of browns and beiges, which I really do like. And it's an all matte palette, which is nice because sometimes it's very difficult to find this type of color scheme without having something that's shimmery, metallic, or even glittery. This is different for ColourPop because ColourPop tends to pop in something, a unique shade, a super shock shadow, a glittery shadow, something to kind of make this eyeshadow pop, and this was very different for them. I will give them that. But I personally would not be purchasing this one. I like it, but I'm not interested in it because there's a specific palette that came to mind in my collection that I automatically thought of that ruled this completely out, and that is the Juvia's Place, the Nomad palette. It's actually very similar to what I'm wearing on my eyes, but it's not what I'm wearing on my eyes. This palette right here, this gives me the same vibes. It's that sunflowery type of eye look, and I still get more variation in this one, and I think I like this one more for that reason because I'm getting this color that I absolutely love. I'm getting oranges and yellows and different tones of greens and even a dark brown and a beige. I feel like this is the same size. It's 9 pan, but I get more of a variety with this palette than I would with that ColourPop one. The ColourPop one, I feel like I will be stuck in a specific eye look or specific type of color scheme. And this one, I feel like I can really get out of my comfort zone, do different looks where it can't necessarily tell that it's one palette that I'm doing multiple looks out of. So for that reason, I was not interested in the Sunshine palette or the Sunrise palette, whatever it's called. But this one really came to my head and I'm like, I like this one a lot more. So I would be skipping out on that one. Next up is the Ace Beauté Nostalgia palette. Now this is a beautiful color scheme. It really is beautiful. I am not 100% a fan of the Ace Beauté type of formula. I hope I'm saying their name right because that's what it says on their website. So I do like it. I have seen a review on it and I can see that their eyeshadows is very similar to what I reviewed on the 2 palettes that I do own. Actually, I own 3 palettes from them. 2 I did purchase, 1 I did not. But I have this specific palette in my collection that's very similar in its color story, but the one that I have has more colors, has different textures, which I can care less about, to be honest with you. And I do feel like the formula is similar. This one's a little bit better, but it's very comparable even in the formula because I have tried the Ace Beauté formula, so I kind of have an idea. And that is the Midas Cosmetics Flower Bomb. Now, this is their old packaging. They have repackaged this whole entire palette and it looks completely different, but these are the colors inside. And if you look at the colors of the palette that I'm sharing with you guys, you can see the similarities in the shades. I can definitely tell that quite a few shades in that palette mirror this one. And I do like this color story, but I'm not 100% a fan of the formula, and that's why I haven't bought any of the new ones. But I do like this color story, and I can make this work, so it's not terrible. This is not a terrible palette, just not my favorite when it comes to the matte. So this is something that's very comparable to that palette, the Nostalgia palette. But because I already have this one and I have even more variety in here, I'm gonna stick to this palette and not even bother with the Ace Beauté one. So I do like this one, and I love the color story of it. The color story of this is beautiful, and I really do like it. All right, so here's a brand that I've never tried any other palettes, but this specific palette, I feel like it's been done over and over and over, and I'm sure a lot of us have some similar shades in some sort of palette in our collection. That's the Artist Couture Caliente Hot and Spicy or something, that palette. It's a smaller palette, but I have a palette that only has 9 eyeshadows, and it's very similar, and I can get the same vibes in my eye, and that is the Give Me Glow Extra Spicy. I have the yellows, I have the reds, I have the oranges. The only color that I really don't see is the pinks, but really I could just pull in a pink if I really want to pair it with this one. So I do prefer this one. I love the formula of this one. It's still a 9-pan eyeshadow, so it's not a huge palette in the color, the amount of numbers in here, amount of shadows. I can't even talk today, my goodness. So I would pick this one. I am not interested in that one at all because I can get the same looks if I want to with this one. And this is called Extra Spicy. That one's called Caliente. Basically, you're getting the same stuff, okay? Your eyeballs are gonna be on fire. The next palette, believe it or not, I was really tempted when I first saw it because it didn't have a bunch of browns, you guys. I mentioned, you guys, as much as I don't like this brand, there are some palettes that do catch my attention. This one did, but I will not be getting it because when I did see a few looks, one palette with it, and the color scheme is very similar. And I'm sure you guys have seen this palette compared to the one I'm going to share with you guys. That's the Morphe 35C. I do like the fact that they came out with something different. This is different for Morphe. I like the fact that it is a cool tone, but it's not a bunch of taupes. They did a good job with this, I'll give them that. As far as the formula goes, I don't know. I haven't swatched it, I haven't touched it. I don't know any about that. But as far as the color scheme, it is definitely very similar to this Emily Noel The Ones palette. And that's the reason why I'm not going to get it, because I don't even reach for this one as often as I should. And it's almost the same size. How many shadows am I getting in this one? So this one's giving you 24 eyeshadows and the Morphe's giving you 35. So I'd rather pick this one because it's a little bit more condensed and the color scheme is very, very similar. So for me, as much as that one caught my attention, this I have in my collection and I'd rather go with this. To be honest with you guys, I feel like the Makeup Revolution is very similar to Morphe's eyeshadow formula, at least the older palettes. To me, they were very similar. They fades on my eyes. Some of the shades are hit or misses. So it's very similar. So why bother spend the money on the Morphe 35C when I have this one? So that's a reason why I held off on purchasing that one. I had a few opportunities to get it, but every time it held me back because I knew I had this one and I don't reach for this one as often. So why get another palette that's very similar that I'm not going to reach for anyways? That's the reason why I'm not buying the Morphe 35C, and yes, I did catch my attention for a hot second. Last but not least, these really killed me, but you guys, I've learned things about myself. I really have, and that's very exciting for me because sometimes years ago, impulse buy would get me every time, even though I was going against my gut feeling, and I'm happy nowadays I am embracing my gut feeling and sticking with it. So these palettes, these are the BH Cosmetics 8-pan monochromatic palette. They came out with these, and let me tell you, BH Cosmetics have come a long way. I've raved about them for a while now. The formula of their eyeshadows have gotten so good that I do love these palettes. I know the quality is going to be good. Everyone keeps raving about them, but here's the deal. How are so many people complaining about ColourPop's monochromatic palettes and yet purchasing the BH Cosmetics monochromatic palettes and raving about them? I don't get it. I don't get that. You can't like one and not the other for the same exact reason. But the reason why I'm not buying the BH Cosmetic ones is because I have the monochromatic palettes from ColourPop. These are smaller, these are cheaper, I believe, and I don't do monochromatic eye looks as often. When these came out and I started to purchase these as they started to come out, this is as far as my monochromatic collection has gone. I haven't purchased any other monochromatic palette often because of the reason, because I realize that I do love variety in my eye looks. I love to pair different colors. Not that I can't pull out 2 palettes and use these 2 on an eye look. It's just if I'm going to pull this one out, I know it's going to be purple no matter what I do. This one's going to be green no matter what I do. This one's going to be orange. Just gonna pick. You understand what I mean? So I realized that I like my monochromatic palettes, but I don't want a ton of them because I don't reach for them as often due to the fact that my looks are not gonna vary. So I learned that about myself. So when I saw these BH Cosmetic ones, I love the color stories of each palette and I've heard amazing things about them. But because I don't reach for these as often, why would I spend $18 on each of those palettes to have them just for a quality sake? These are good. The quality quality of these are really good. So why do the same thing? So for me, I am going to be skipping out on the BH Cosmetics one. My understanding is those are limited edition. So once they're gone, they're gone. And I have accepted that. I'm okay. I'd rather just stick to the ColourPop ones. These are a lot cheaper. I feel like the quality is just as good, and at least I get a variety when it comes to the finishes of the eyeshadows. So there you guys have it. Those are 5 palettes that have been released that I will be skipping on, that I have found similar palettes within my collection. I can do this with every palette that comes out, you guys. But there are palettes that I do want to get, even though the color story is the same. But I draw the line somewhere, and right at these palettes is where I draw the line. I am comfortable and I feel good with the ones that I have, that I don't feel like I need to get the new ones that are coming out. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know personally when I see these videos, I like to see a visual. I like to see the palette that you're comparing it to. It's a lot easier for me to skip out on things than just telling you guys, skip out on this new release and go with this instead. So I hope you guys like it. I do these videos here and there for you guys. Once I get like 5 palettes that I truly can find in my collection that I'm not really gonna get, I'll do these videos again. So I'll link these down below, and if you're gonna get any of these, go ahead. Don't let me hold you back. You can do whatever you want with your money. So thank you again for your support. I'll put more videos right over here for your enjoyment. Until then, bye guys.